Today on Hampton Roads Business Weekly, we're looking at the path to entrepreneurship.
From inheriting a business to starting one to solve a problem.
We're sharing the reasons why local entrepreneurs got into business. Hampton Roads Business Weekly starts right now.
Hello and welcome. I'm Cheryl Tan.
And I'm Zach Miller. Welcome to Hampton Roads Business Weekly, a weekly look at the businesses and entrepreneurs making an impact right here in Hampton Roads.
Today we're talking about starting a business. For some, it's a passion. For others, it's a necessity. I spoke with Catherine Graham, owner of Heritage Contracting. Catherine has an amazing story. She's a convicted felon who had trouble finding a job because of her past, so she took the leap and started her own company. Being an entrepreneur is tough, no doubt about it, but I think you'll agree with me when you hear Catherine Graham's story that her journey was tougher than most. She is right now the president and CEO of Heritage Contracting in Chesapeake, but she's also a convicted felon. She was in jail for 10 years on drug charges, starting at the age of 20. So I want to talk with you, Catherine. First of all, thank you for sharing your story with us.
You're welcome.
But talk with us about the challenges of those early years after you left prison.
Well, those challenges were trying to get jobs, getting jobs and not being able to stay on the jobs, because once I would apply for jobs and I would tell them that I was a convicted felon, because I felt like I had a stamp on my head, so I had to tell. And so when I told them, they didn't hire me. And I was actually applying for jobs that I felt like I could do. When I was in prison, I learned construction and can operate almost any heavy equipment there is today. And so when I would apply for the jobs and they didn't tell me, and then sometimes I actually applied one time and I told them that I was a convicted felon, and they was like, "That's fine, it's okay." And then when the background check came back, and 2 weeks later they fired me. So it had been very difficult trying to get employment and even stay employed.
What is Heritage Contracting? What is it that you do, and how have you been able to grow your company over the last 10 years?
Well, what I learned is that you can't do everything by yourself. You know, and I think that's one of the big things with not just men, but in women. You know, we try to wear all the hats and we try to do everything ourselves. And I think I had to find somebody that was smarter than me. That was the big key for me, because I was wearing a lot of hats. I was on the roofs, I was under the houses, you know, and I'm doing my paperwork and I'm marketing, and I just couldn't do it all. But when I did it, I felt like I came to the end of myself, and I knew then I needed to find someone smarter than me.
And so that's how you've been able to grow and get more contracts with more companies.
I stay in my lane. I stay in my lane. I let people who know how to market. I let people who know how to go out and be creative, but I'm more of a detail person. So I like managing and getting caught up in the details, making sure everything's done right.
You were invited recently to the White House to talk about your story and to talk about the issue of second chances and why some people don't take advantage of programs after prison. And I know you've taken advantage of some of those programs that help you move forward after prison. Right.
Well, what I've learned, like actually Maria Contreras-Sweet, the president administrator, I was speaking with her and she used my story. And we talked, and she wanted to know, how did you do this? Because we have reentry programs and opportunities and resources, and people are not using them. And I let her know, well, I get that, but the problem is we get the information, but we don't we don't understand it. And it's like, how can you use something or apply something that you don't understand how to use? You have all these programs, you have all these opportunities, but no one really knows how. They don't understand. It's a lot of information, but no understanding.
It's no map, really,
it's no map.
Is what it seems like, is maybe they understand that the programs are there, but once you're there, what's the next step?
I think the programs are like routes. What route you're going to take, you know, but you need to know your destination, where you're going.
Now that you're an entrepreneur, worth the journey?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I would not go back and do it again. You know, I don't want to relive the pain. I don't want to relive burying people. I don't want to relive, you know, the stupid mistakes I made, you know. But yeah, it was worth it. I learned a lot.
Catherine Graham, thanks so much for some great information you've shared with us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We have more stories of how local entrepreneurs got their start, but first we want to hear from you. So if you have questions or comments during the show, tweet us at HR Biz Weekly. We're back after the break. Welcome back to Hampton Roads Business Weekly. We're here with Caroline Taylor of Tailor Made Diagnostics, the Small Business of the Year and Virginia winner. Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
So you've been in business for 21 years.
Yes.
21 is a good number in Vegas.
Yes.
and for the awards as well. Tell us about how you got started into business.
Well, interestingly, I always say that if you want to start a business, you have to solve a problem. The bigger the problem, the greater the opportunity for business startup.
Sure.
And the problem actually occurred when a contractor in Chesapeake needed a large number of his workforce tested for a contract. When I say tested, I mean tested for drug testing and some physicals. Well, 300 employees going into a clinic would have taken months.
Wow.
I put together a mobile occupational clinic on wheels and went to the company to provide those services. And that launched phase one of Tailor Made Diagnostics.
So kind of like if I was giving blood and the mobile would come in here, instead you guys are doing that. And that's
We're doing it for all of our customers all throughout Hampton Roads and farther.
You, over the years, realized that you need to be out of the office and be doing different things. How did you recognize that the craft that you love and started needed you to kind of play a different role?
Well, as a registered nurse, that was my passion, and I really enjoy the interaction with the patients. But I did realize that I had to be able to balance my talents and also be able to develop and grow the business. So, by thinking about what was most important to my business, I started to formulate a plan on development and reaching out to my customers. I could not be a clinical nurse and do that as well. So I started to separate myself into more of an administrative role.
When you talk about the plan, a lot of people have different ideas as to what a plan looks like. What did yours look like?
Well, initially in 1995, I started with the mobile medical service, launched that, and it took off like gangbusters. My first customers were Hampton Roads Sanitation Department, Ford Motor Company, and Kelowna Shipyard. Large companies.
Did you have relationships with them? How did you kind of get in to
Persistence
that?
and
Yeah.
tenacity. Letting them know there was a service that could solve a problem for them as well.
What I love about your business is you're very positive, and you include that in some of your day-to-day of the business. How did you kind of realize that that was something that made your quality better, made your customer service better? How did you get the positivity into your day-to-day?
Well, I'm always a positive person anyway, but I think that there's a solution for everything, and there's always a win-win. When I have a situation where we have to compromise, I always want to compromise fairly. And I think that that's the best approach to take when you're running a business. So I always look at that win-win for my customers. We give where we need to give as well, and our customers see that. From a leadership standpoint, we developed core values, and those values guide our company, and all of our employees follow the values because innately they have it. I hired very carefully, so I know what their strengths are and I know where I can put them. If they fail in any role that I put them in, it's my fault because I didn't know them well enough to know where they should have been.
And so I think that's good, taking I think in my business, when something goes bad, it's my business. I have to be the one that looks at it and says, this is my fault. And I think it's good that you do that. Last question, if someone had a business that was a decade or older, what would you tell them to keep pushing to then be decades older and keep going?
Well, having the right team is critical. Define what you think each person's role should be. Not everybody has to agree. You want people that have different opinions because that's what makes things work.
So don't find just yes.
You don't want
find
yes
those as
people.
well.
You want people with their own ideas and thoughts because a lot of times they're better than yours,
Sure.
especially if it's a role outside of your role. They know more about that role. So consider them and think very hard about their input on how you can grow.
So hire people that will make you better. I've always heard, hire people that are smarter than you.
Absolutely.
Because it'll make the business better.
Absolutely.
Caroline Taylor, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Coming up, 3 generations of one family running not one, but 2 businesses. It's next. But first, get ready for another Millennial Minute.
Hi, I'm Renee.
And I'm Mike. And with all the new apps and trends, we figured we'd jump on the movement and talk about Pokemon Go. Okay, not completely about Pokemon Go, but how you can use trends to drive in-store traffic to your business.
With Pokemon Go specifically, you can deploy lures to nearby Pokestops to get people to come into your business. Does that sound like gibberish? That's okay. Try adding a rewards program to reward those who are playing the game. Give out free samples or free soft drink, and if you're a service industry, try giving a percentage off. The whole point of this is to get people who are on the streets into your business.
Alternatively, if you're a restaurant, you can use online dating to your advantage. So maybe give a table to people who are meeting in person for the first time, or have a special discount for people who met online. You can target this message online to people who are using dating apps or who are interested in dating.
If you need more clarity about these trends and how to use them for your business, contact us online at www.hrbusinessweekly.com.
And this has been your
Millennial Minute.
3 generations of one family running 2 businesses in the Denby section of Newport News. Happy today to talk with Angel Camden, one of the people running these 2 businesses. Thanks so much for talking with us about this.
Thank you.
So the 2 businesses exist in one location. It's Elliott and Dugan's Trophies and Swim and Sport Stop.
Right.
All of this in Denby.
Right.
And it's a long-standing company. For 29 years, you've been in business.
Yes, ma'am.
How have you connected with the community over the last 29 years?
Well, we are from here originally, and so knew a lot of people. And we tried advertising and getting the word out through ads and things like that back in the 80s when there was no internet, and that was the way that you did it. But really, we get it out by word of mouth. And loyalty and people who return and will recommend us and send people our way.
I know your mom started this venture as a way to serve a need that
Right.
she saw in your own family.
Right, she did. My dad was having some job changes and she decided it was time for her to venture out. She approached community swim teams and asked would they be interested in buying from a local store instead of ordering from catalogs, and they were very interested. And so she got her license and here we are.
29 years later.
Right.
And as far as we talked about the internet being a challenge,
Yes.
as being really a tough opponent,
Yes, it is.
that for small business everywhere really is
Right.
a challenge. We did an
Right.
interview with Bill Brunel with Independent We Stand, and he talked about the internet being a big opponent for a lot of small businesses, and you're
Right.
seeing that as well.
Yes, the internet is definitely the most challenging thing we have as 2 small businesses, but we battle that effectively by providing great customer service. We give, things that you can't get from the internet. We size your swimmers. We go to your swim team. We bring our goggles. We bring our suits. We size them there. Sometimes people choose to come get a box of suits and go size their own swimmers for their team. I have a team doing that today at 5 o'clock. She picked up the suits yesterday and she will size her own team and then bring it all back to me. And as far as the trophies, we meet prices, we deliver them. Some people come to my house if they know where I live. These are people who get to know us and become our friends and our family, and we have loyal, long-standing customers.
It's something that an internet company is not able to provide.
That's right.
And that is the benefit, of course, of a small business.
Right,
Have
right.
you noticed things changing for the better related to small businesses? Maybe people are coming away from just wanting that internet transaction and craving that personal interaction.
Well, I think they definitely love the personal service. Some of them want that delivery at home. And so that does draw in, or they want the ability to order while they're at work and not have to come see me. But we battle that by talking on the phone, figuring it out on the phone so they don't have to leave their desk. I send them emails of pictures, they send me things, we text, we do whatever we have to do so that they can order at their convenience and not have to leave work if it's hard to get to me, because sometimes you can't get to me when I close at 6 p.m. if you have a job. So, and we're open on Saturdays, but if you have a hard time, we always work with you. I never turn anybody away.
3 generations
Yes.
in one business.
Yes.
How does that work, and how does everyone carve out a role for himself or herself?
It works beautifully. We would love for my parents to be able to retire, but we bring our children to work, and our children are part of the work life, so it keeps my parents there. Now, they're more likely to be running the children to and from sports, events, things like that, but they are still very much involved. We have each carved out our little niche in the business. One sister and I do all of the engraving. The other sister is specialized in the swim gear and in the technical suits that really need to be sized perfectly if you're going to spend a lot of money on a suit. And then I have 16-year-old twins who will build trophies.
As far as any advice that you have for other entrepreneurs,
Yes.
people who are trying to figure out if this is the path for them, what
Right.
would you say to them?
I would say provide the best service at what you're going to do. You know, don't give up. It is really hard. It is not an easy path. And it's not an easy path for either of our businesses, our trophy part or our swim part. There's always competition, and there's always somebody trying to knock you down. But you do whatever your customer needs. You provide whatever they want to the best of your ability, and you do the best that you can at what you do.
In 29
Always.
years, I mean, you've been able
Always.
to stand the test of time.
Yes, yes.
Angel, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Right now, we're going to continue our series on smart ways to grow and expand your business. Many entrepreneurs believe discounts are a great way to drive people to your business. So I spoke with Dr. Karen Eagle, professor at Regent University, about knowing when, why, and how to discount your products. So one thing that people may struggle with is, should I or should I not discount my product, service, or company? What are your kind of thoughts on that?
Well, you know, I think there's a place for discounts, and I think that there are times that you can drive business by offering special deals. I mean, look, Groupon's got their whole business model based on that. But then a lot of times people will join into the Groupon world as business and then lose a lot of money by giving so much product away. And so what you need to do, you need to try a couple of things, first of all, and then you need to find a happy medium of something that works for you. Because discounts can bring new customers in, but you need to look at your costs and how much is this going to cost me, or if I give a discount on this, is there something else that I can sell them when they're here,
Yeah.
and kind of make up for it and end up, you know, making money in the end.
So maybe discount because it's your birthday and we want to say, you know, come into Friendly's and have a free ice cream cone, but we know that you're going to have to do all these other things first.
Right.
Right. Or what about the other piece where it's like, you know, save 40% today. Old Navy sends me a coupon in the mail and they say, you know, spend get 40% off, but then the little thing they put in there is you have to spend $50.
Right.
How, as a business owner, can you understand where your threshold is in there, that if I spend $50 and I get them 40% off, I'm still going to be okay and hopefully not be in the red?
That's a good question, and I'm glad you're talking about somebody like Old Navy, because those guys build it into the pricing of their product, and they have a lot of their company is vertical, which means that all their goods are made for their own store, which means that they have control of all the pricing of everything, and the markup of each level is within their organization. So they have room to make that discount. And so now that we have this understanding as new entrepreneurs and retailers, we could say, wait a minute, okay, well, how can I replicate that in my business? So what product do I carry that I have a little control over the margin? Which is there some product I can go find margin on and make that a special deal on that? And you know, buy one or offer this thing free because I get a deal. I mean, you have to, everything is kind of unique to your business.
Interesting. So
compared.
should a small business try to copycat the methods of a big business in that kind of discount piece, right? So I'm a new retail store. I sell interesting things. Should I try and copy the same model? Should I copycat the Old Navy model? How do you, because I think people look at that and say, oh, this makes sense, I should do this. How do you understand I should or shouldn't kind of be a copycat?
I'm really glad you asked that question, because as retailers or a small business and even non-retailers, we see these big guys doing these things. And we feel like we're supposed to do that, but we forget that they're vertical,
Yeah.
and they have control of all these costs where we have to pay hand amount to everything. And so we can look at them to see, well, this is what the consumer is seeing. They're used to seeing this and getting this deal. What can I do to be competitive with that? Now, can I do the same thing? Maybe I can't, but maybe I could do something a little more hands-on, touchy-feely, fun in the store. You know, we used to have girls' night out, close the store, bring people in, give them a discount, you know, and people would just, we'd have a party and people would buy, and it was just fun, you know, and those guys can't really do that. So I could do some things they can't do.
So for an early stage, maybe small business, maybe not necessarily follow what the big businesses are doing, kind of get creative and kind of twist what they're doing so that you can still be successful in that kind of business model.
Be aware of what they're doing, because your customer is seeing that, and so you have to watch them. And this is what my customer is experiencing at these other places. So you don't want to have your head in the sand to think that they're not getting certain special deals, but then say, okay, how can I compete in my way, in a creative way?
Great.
That wraps up another edition of Hampton Roads Business Weekly. Like us on Facebook and Instagram at HR Business Weekly.
There, you will find segments from previous shows, plus some great behind-the-scenes pictures and videos. For Hampton Roads Business Weekly, I'm Zach Miller.
And I'm Cheryl Tan. We'll see you next week.
Hampton Roads Business Weekly, sponsored by Regent University and produced by ABC 13.